welcome back to Stuck My Generation. It's been a while since I've did a podcast because it is hard as hell to find hosts that show up or are reliable, and doing it on your own is Pags. This is Pags from MEI Studio in New York. Live from MEI Studio in New York, it's Pags. Pags is a fellow YouTube and audio, much more decorated audio guy than myself. But we have fun. That's the circle of audio folks. But Pags, no one's heard you on this show before, so go ahead, and then we're going to dive into this new Metallica album that everyone was so excited about. That's we're probably late to the party review-wise because everyone listens to it once, and they're like, YouTube video time.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody needs to hear about anything from me. I want to dive right into this thing, man, because...
well, let's do it then. Okay,
there's
well, then
a lot
first...
to say.
Then first, how about you just start off? We'll go back and forth. Your experience with Metallica, what you like, what you hate. Just a roundabout quick history on Pags and Metallica.
Wow.
You probably played with them somewhere down there.
No, but my neighbor was their drug dealer for a while.
See, knew it. I knew there was some kind of connection.
There's always some kind of degree somewhere of something. No, my connection to them was when I first started playing bass, Cliff Burton. He was like the guy that everybody was like, oh, Cliff. I was like, all right, who's this Cliff guy? I had no idea, whatever. And I think my sister's boyfriend at the time handed me like a couple of cassettes. One of them was Megadeth. One of them was a couple of Metallica but older Metallica stuff.
Right.
And I heard Anesthesia, and I was like, all right, I can get down with that. At the time I was doing, I was listening to like Guns N' Roses and Iron Maiden and stuff like that. So, and I heard Kill 'Em All, and I was like, oh, okay, this is angry as I am.
Yeah.
And then I went to Ride the Lightning, everything else. I mean, after that, up until like the Black Album is pretty much when I was like, all right, things are cool. And then Load came out, and it seems to be that's where the brakes for everybody are hit when it comes to Metallica, because
Not me.
Things happened.
Not
well,
me.
You know what? I'm going to give Load and Reload like that transition like kind of thing, because there were a few good tunes on those albums.
Right.
For me at least. But like after that, it was just like, all right, I'm good, dog. But yeah, I mean, Cliff was one of my biggest influences playing bass for a very long time, actually. In fact, my fingerstyle playing has been compared to his. Like I worked my ass off, like just learning how to play fingerstyle like him as fast as he could, and doing some of the stuff that he could. So an idol, I guess you could say, more than anything. And that's
where do you stand on Mustaine? My curiosity there.
I'm a droogie, so if you ask me, Metallica kind of lost their way when they stopped putting out Mustaine's material. So I mean, I think they were putting his stuff out all the way up until Injustice for All. He had credits on albums, I think.
Yeah,
and to me, I think Dave's gotten a little stale as he's gotten older. His guitar playing, I don't think has.
No,
I think some of
at
the
least
songwriting,
not studio wise.
No, God, no, he's a monster.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, through what Dave has been through in his life, I don't know if you've ever watched the Behind the Music, the extended cut of that or anything like that about his whole life and what that man has been through. Good Lord. But
no, I have not, but I will after this.
Oh yeah, I have the DVD somewhere. If you need it, I'll send it to you, because it is a must watch. I mean, it's phenomenal. It is
probably
phenomenal.
Take you up on that. Yeah, I admittedly became a Megadeth fan over the last couple of years, and realized, in my opinion, how much stronger their body of work is from start to finish so far than Metallica's. Maybe not the early stuff. Like, I think Metallica had the leg up on them through the Black Album, but the gap was closing around that time, in my opinion. And then I think Megadeth has been better since that time.
I think that's also because of, like, if you look at the songs that made Metallica famous, who wrote them?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest here.
That's true.
So,
but I'll say the early Metallica stuff, I'm all about.
Same here.
Black Album was kind of a switch up, but it was still good. It was almost like a slight reinvention that worked really well.
I think it was perfect for the time.
It was
for everything that was going on in music, like the whole changeover to grunge, and the hair metal thing dying, and like it kind of sit in a perfect place. It was like it was just right, I think, for the time.
Yeah, and then you had Load, which I actually like. For me, Load and Reload aged better than I thought they would age. And I'm not by any means saying that I think they were fantastic, great albums. I think combine them cutting their hair off with trying to appeal to the grunge and post-grunge crowd. Like, I think it pissed off the diehard fans. But I think if you go back and look at it now, it's still pretty solid. I think it's solid music. I think it's pretty good. It's just not thrash anymore. Like, they progressed away from thrash.
Well, the Black Album wasn't thrash.
And the Black Album wasn't thrash. No, not by any means. It was more, from thrash metal to just more traditional metal alternative mix. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but I didn't hate those albums. Like, I owned them and I liked them. Didn't love them. Like, they were fine. And then Saint Anger came out, and I think all of us had the same thoughts on that. Which, by the way, as I was listening, I've never heard this before, but I have posted on Twitter a handful of times, like, tagging Metallica. Not that they'll ever see it, but, like, if you guys would just get in the studio and re-record Saint Anger without the stupid snare, without the stupid garage sound that you were going for, I think it has the potential to be an actually killer album. Like, the production, the snare, the friction in the band, like, it was a bad mix. But there is a guy and a bandmate of his and some guy from another band. My buddy Lawrence, we were talking about this 72 Seasons album today, and my buddy Lawrence said, "Have you ever heard the 2015 Saint Anger redo?" And I was like, fuck are you talking about? And he sent me the link, and these guys redid the album without that stupid snare, like, better production quality, and it sounds fantastic. They performed it like tit for tat. They didn't try to change it or anything. They performed it as if they were recording it
as Metallica,
for a Rick Rubin or a Bob Rock or as if they were trying to make a clean sounding, and it sounds great. I listened to the whole thing today, and I was like, this is so much better than Metallica's version of this album that it's not even funny. Like, I was like, if this was an actual Metallica album, like,
it'd be something to talk about.
It'd be top. Yeah, it'd be top 5. It was really, really good. And it was fresh and it sounded good. I was like, this is what I wanted Metallica themselves to do, but instead some freaking guys from another band did it. And they did it so much better. But
that was a sore spot for me.
It was bad.
That
it was
whole
just
time
bad.
frame. So when they were looking for new bass players, my manager at the time had gotten me an audition with them.
Yeah.
And I flat out said no. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
What was your reasoning?
So Jason,
that's a big undertaking.
Well, there's that, but like I didn't like the way that they were going to begin with. Like, I didn't like the road they were going down as far as the sound and the way the songs were being written and everything. To me, everything just sounded fake at that point to me. and I had heard some demo stuff, which we got a track, I think it was, or something. It was a very rough thing that, you know, anybody that was coming down for the audition, you had to know basically the entire Metallica catalog, which I knew like 80% of. So like anything that they played in a concert, like I pretty much knew anyway, you know, just from having played it from when I was a teenager. And there was this one other track that I got sent, and I was like, look, man, so Jason got the shit end of the stick when Cliff died. You know, he basically got cut out of that album when, you know, when he left, you know, whoever came in next was going to kind of get the shit end of the stick again, I figured. So I was like, I don't want to be that guy. And then after that album came out, I was just like, I had no chance in hell of actually getting that, because from what I was told, like, the decision had been made before the invites even went out. And I mean, fucking Les Claypool tried out. Like, it was crazy when I saw the roster.
And he's definitely not a fit. But I mean, you know, it's just not his style. But it's fun. It's funny to know that.
I always wondered if they did that just for the video kind of thing, just so like it was just like, oh, it's Les Claypool, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I actually saw the roster, like the people that invited, and I was just like, you know what, this. I can't hang. Like, I had enough confidence in my own ability, but like I told her, I said, thanks for, you know, getting that. There's 2 auditions that she's gotten me in the past that like I turned down. That one I don't regret. The other one I do, but that one I don't regret turning down.
You want to say what the other one was or no?
Billy Joel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That I do regret turning down, but I was such a metalhead at that point. Like, I'm not playing with Billy Joel. Like,
yeah, that's how that goes.
Meanwhile, you know, selling out months-long, you know, stays at the Garden. Yeah, I could have rolled with that.
Yeah, it probably would have been, you know, beneficial to the career, but you know, things happen.
Let's get into this album, man. Let's do this.
All right, let's note it up. Now, I will say, I do the reaction video stuff sometimes, and I did do a reaction video to Lux Eterna, and at the time, in the moment, because it was new Metallica, not that I don't get real excited, I do want to add that I think Death Magnetic is one of my favorite albums by them, so I don't completely, I liked it a lot. Wow. Yeah, I like that album still to this day. I don't like Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Not really a fan of that one. But for some reason, Death Magnetic.
That's another one that had
it did
horrible
something
production problems. Like,
you're the true studio guy. I can overlook some production problems. Like,
so can I. Believe me. Like,
when you put out Sane Anger, like, everything's going to sound great afterwards. So I mean that played in their favor.
I don't know,
but I did like that.
The garage, not Garage Band. What the hell was it called? The
Garage
Rock Band. No, the Rock Band remix that didn't have all the problems with the overcompression and everything actually sounded better than the album that they put out on that one, on Death Magnetic.
Oh, Rick Rubin produced that, didn't he?
Now, it was a mastering thing, from what I understand. Like, they just overcompressed the crap out of it to get it to the loudest possible level that they possibly could, and it just really destroyed the mix. Because if you do listen to the tracks that come out, you know, that weren't super compressed, the album doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah. I definitely think it was at least... they're always trying, well, not this time, but they've tried the return to form, and it doesn't ever. I mean, that the sound that they did up until the Black Album, it's just over. I don't think the only way they can recreate it is the live tracks from those albums. They can't come up with anything that's close to that, and I think that's been obvious over the years. But I heard Lux Eterna, and I thought, okay, they're going to try. They're going to try to get thrashy. Track, right? What is it? I think so.
I think that was number 6.
Yeah, and it was the first single off of it. And I was like, okay, they're going to try to get back to their thrash roots. No, they're not. They're not going to try at all. So we'll start out. I will say, I'm going to be complimentary and derogatory towards this band on this album. Complimentary because they are not spring chickens anymore. They are an older band, And unless your name is Mick Jagger, you can't quite do the things you did when you were young. Mick can somehow. I don't know how, but
drugs.
My wife went and watched him, I guess. My wife went and watched him, and we've watched plenty of live footage, and that guy dances just as ferociously, well into his late 70s as he ever did. Yeah. He's just a magical, drugged up beast. But I will give it to Metallica. Like, they are at least still around, and they have enough staying power that people give a shit about every album they release. So giving them a bit of a pass on the fact that, in my opinion, they're aged out. What they're doing is both impressive and not impressive to me. It's like it's an on the fence thing. Like,
I'm going to tell you,
you guys are older and you're still rocking fairly hard.
As much as I had my reservations about this album, and this has been talked about for a while, I actually do have some positivity coming out of this as well.
There's some. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if what we're going to say on the positive is the same, because it actually shocked me when I heard it, and I'm going to let you go on this because I want to hear where your thoughts are on it.
Okay. Well, we'll start out track by track. The title track,
right, sure.
I'll just come right out and say the title track is the creme de la creme of the whole album. Like 72 Seasons, to me, that's the best song, hands down, in my opinion, on the album. It's a little long in the tooth at 7 minutes 39 seconds, but every fucking Metallica song is anymore. They think they're Tool. I don't know. The length of the song doesn't work, but I want to say the freshness and the newness. The opening track got me excited about the album. I was like, okay, I didn't love Lux Eterna. I didn't really love the rest of the singles. I was like, but this track is showing me that the album has potential. So Track 1, my favorite track. I thought it was kind of fresh. It was a little bit loady, like it sounds half load, but also half fresh. So I was like, I'm gonna say I like this one a lot because I don't hate load. And it does seem like they're trying for something. It was a good way to open the album. And I did enjoy this song. I'll listen to it again.
Yeah. When the song started, I thought it was the beginning of Pulp Fiction.
It's my favorite movie of all time, so that's great.
I think that's probably why then. It had that whole Meserlu kind of thing going on, yeah, it kind of had that thing. You're 100% right. The songs are just too freaking long, man. And what was getting me, like, not to get ahead of myself here, but this intro goes on for a while. Like,
always does.
Yeah, I mean,
and they've taught us, and they've kind of battered us into overlooking it a little bit, just a little bit, acknowledging it, but overlooking it. I overlooked it because I was like, I like it. It could be 4.5 minutes, and I'd like it a lot more. But I won't be completely bitchy on this one.
Yeah, I one thing I find weird are the lyrics. Did you actually listen to the lyrics?
I listened to them, but I'm one of those guys that nothing hasn't been said at this point in music, in my opinion. Like the lowest thing on the totem pole for me are lyrics, because the only person's lyrics I actually comb through and give a shit about are Fiona Apple's, because I think hers are brilliant. A band like Metallica,
Fiona's lyrics come from a place, man.
They do.
They come from a place.
She's magic. James Hetfield is not lyrical magic. He hasn't been lyrical magic. Frantic, tick, 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 tock. Frantic, tick, tick, tick. Yeah. Kill, 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 kill. I know I'm pulling from the same album, but I mean, I've never really gave too much of a shit about Hetfield's lyrics, and Metallica's never been about that for me.
I think that he kind of said it best in Master of Puppets. Just a rhyme without a reason.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think he kind of lived by that since then, because like when I listen to these lyrics, they're just like catchphrases and one-offs that rhyme with each other. There's no real depth to it. There's no story going on. Like, you knew what,
No.
Ride the Lightning was about. You knew what One was about. You knew what, friggin' anything on the Black Album. I mean, hell, the Black Album was a, magnum opus compared to, lyrically compared to, just about any of the other albums. But, yeah, the lyrics, man. The other thing that I kind of had a problem with was that the vocals seemed a little low. Did that kind of hit you as well?
I was trying to figure out the difference of whether I thought it was low or if James just sounds tired.
See, I didn't get that at all. In fact, this is where my compliment comes from. I actually thought James sounded great on this album.
I think he sounds great with considering there's the slightest bit of extra rasp to his voice, but I don't consider it a powerful rasp. It was a tired rasp. It was a little forced at times. Like, it didn't sound bad. Like, I thought vocally he sounded as good as a man his age should sound singing on an album like this. Like, this is the part where I'm impressed, and also, like, James is tired. Like, it's not affecting it too bad, but I'm impressed that he still has this level. But I'm also, compared to Pinnacle, Hetfield, he sounded tired to me.
I mean, he definitely... See, that's a hard one, because to me, I think if the music was, I don't want to say better, but I think if things were put together better for this, I think the lyrics would follow suit. The raw emotion of the music from older Hetfield, from the older stuff, I think he fed off of that just animalness of the ferocity of the music that was going on, like, back, the first 3 albums. I mean, that's he was just he was a friggin' animal. And then, when the music started to calm down, he started to calm down. And then, this album kind of throws him in the middle of 2 places, because they're really trying to get that thrash thing back. That's kind of the way I felt, especially like on this track. It really felt like they were trying to get that heavy chunk of, chunk back and like try to get into like that thrash riff back, but it was a little too slow.
It was, and that happens a lot on this album.
Yes. I have that note like on almost every track. Like this riff should not be being played this slow.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of "Mama Said" on this album, which is a load or reload track, where they threw in that just little bit of honky tonk twang to the guitars that doesn't work, in my opinion. And there's a lot of that mixed in here where it's like,
I agree.
I don't know.
the
There's just a little twang.
The guitar tones were not Metallica to me.
No, they were the worst songs on Load and Reload to me. The tone of the guitars were like the slowest songs, except they tried to metal up that guitar tone, and it just took me back to some of the slower tracks on those two 90s albums.
Yep. No, I agree 100% on that. That just the only tones that I thought were somewhat passable were some of the lead tones that, Kirk was kind of throwing out there. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but rhythm sound, it was something just wasn't right about it. It just, I think you're right. It had a little too much country influence there a bit, maybe.
Yeah, like I'm listening to this and I'm just imagining James laying down these tracks with that straw hat on, that straw cowboy hat. You know what I mean? That he's wore in the past. Like I see that, and he's playing something heavy, but I'm just like, "Mama, let my heart go." I'm like, he's just a little, there's some. I almost wonder if, and I'm not being ageist at all. I mean, the simple fact of it is Metallica's an older band now, and I feel like maybe after he lays down those tracks, he goes and puts on some Conway Twitty and sees if he can play the guitar to it. It's, I don't know. It's just a little something different.
And now Conway Twitty.
That's right, with James Hetfield on guitar. Yeah. You know what? Real quick, I don't recall. Maybe I need to fine comb more, but I heard no has, no oohs, or no
you're right.
yes.
No, that was completely cold. And I got a couple of little, like, oh, he tried to do it there, but they made him pull it back. Like, there was a few end of words where he added the extra at the end of it, but it was nowhere near as pronounced as
no.
He became a caricature of himself, at one point there, and I think he got it reined in here pretty well.
He did, but I still would have liked to have heard a couple. Of those. Because I that's been a staple of mine. Anytime I'm excited about something, ooh, yeah. It's just a fun thing to throw out there. It's a signature of his, and
absolutely,
I could have handled a couple of them, but I don't recall any. Let's bang on to this second track, Shadows Fall. I'll let you lead. Autocorrect put follow. Shadows Fall. I'll let you lead on this one, then I'll add my 17-word note to that one.
Again, man, I like this. Kind of goes throughout the whole album. I think the kick drum on all of these songs sounds way too out front in the middle of everything. It feels detached from the rest of the drums, and to me, it kind of pulls the song apart. The song itself, it sounds old, and I don't know how to describe that. To me, it just kind of had like this, like, all right, we're older, we're gonna rock, but we're gonna rock at our rate at this point. We're not gonna push the envelope. We're gonna keep it 55. We're not going over that speed limit at all this time. We're not gonna pull any any speed maneuvers here at all. One thing I did find kind of cool in this one, he kind of gave a little homage to Avenged Sevenfold. I was hearing in some spots with some of the harmonies that were coming in there, and Shadows Fall. I was like, oh, is there some kind of connection here? I don't know.
Real quick. I gotta know, since you brought that up. Did you listen to Nobody, the single that Avenged Sevenfold released?
No, I haven't heard it yet.
Okay, I definitely want your thoughts on that. That's something you can just message me about afterwards. Like their album's coming soon, and I'm a fan. So, and I heard that, and it took me a few listens, but that's a good song to break down. Which maybe one day we can do it, just a quick 10-minute video and break that down and throw it out there. But it's an interesting one. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on it. But continue with Shadows Fall.
The one theme that I'm kind of finding myself coming back to. I mean, we're only on track 2 here, but we're going to wind up saying the same thing over and over here. I don't know what's going on with Kirk. He's playing the same solo every freaking song. I haven't heard a new lick from him at all. It's the same, like, he's got like 5 lead licks that he's doing in different keys, but he's just kind of, taking a bit from this one, a bit from this one, and just kind of, mixing them up a little bit, but it's the same riffs. It's like, going back to the Megadeth thing, like, when a solo comes up in a Megadeth song, you're in for a treat. There's some guitar magic about to happen, and it doesn't matter what album. I mean, with maybe the exception of Risk, but this, man, I don't know, man. The leads, the solos, just feel like unneeded filler to me. That it was just like, all right, it's Kirk's time to take the center stage. We'll go get a beer, come back when he's done. And some of these took a long time.
Yeah, and I can do nothing but agree wholeheartedly. Not to jump too far ahead of myself, but the album on Kurt's end is just a run on almost from start to finish. There was not one single moment here where I honed in on Kirk and thought, like, there you go, dude. No, there was none of that. It was like, dude, like at one point I'm listening to this and I literally voiced out loud, I'm like, dude, stop. Like,
Yeah.
stop.
I did the same exact thing. I was just like,
Quit.
oh, you heard it already. Just enough.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's
and I know he got some criticism. I saw today that somebody criticized one of his solos on one of the singles, and he's like, I'm not going to just play Apregios and Yingwei the whole thing, Yingwei Malmsteen. And he's like, I'm not just going to do that the whole time. He's like, I'm going to make it fit the music. It's like, boy, didn't you? I mean, you really did. And that's the problem with the album, that I've got.
Nothing
Again, not
stands
jumping
out.
ahead.
Right.
Nothing. Like the first track stood out to me a little bit. Yeah, again, I just gave away a whole lot of my thoughts on the album. But Kirk just seems just like they're out of ideas. I just think they're out of ideas.
I don't. I'm going to be honest with you. I think what that band needs more than anything, and this is probably like, I probably should save this for the end, but I'm going to, since you brought it up, I think if they just said, you know what, we're going to forget everything that we've done for the last 20 years. Let's go into somebody's basement studio, jam out as a band, and, record something raw and record something just primal.
Like Saint Anger.
Even that, no. I mean, honestly, like, have you ever heard the Garage Days albums?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Those are some of the best covers I've ever heard.
Exactly. And the raw sound of that is what makes it. And to me, it's just,
I agree.
It's them jamming out their favorite cover tunes and just having a good time doing it. And you can hear them having a good time doing it. This, I don't hear anybody having a good time playing these out. And it's just really weird to me that it just sounds so put together intentionally, and there's just nothing spontaneous about it. There's nothing explosive about it. It's just, okay, here's our intro. It's going to last 1 minute and 11 seconds. And then the vocals are going to come in, and that's going to be this. And then we're going to have a little bit of a, chorus thing here, and then another verse. It just seems so cookie cutter. Like we're only 2 tracks into this, and
I know we're going pretty hard on it. But you're right.
No,
it's almost as if they put a timeline on a whiteboard, and they were like, "Here's Kirk, here's here's James, then back to Kirk. Then we're going to make sure that Lars does. We're going to make sure he has that exact rhythm in every song, which Kirk's." When he does, or not Kirk, but Lars, when he does that, I've always kind of been a fan of that, but I don't want to hear it every track.
Right.
And they're like, Robert, fuck Robert. He doesn't get a piece on the timeline. He can just, play bass tune off.
We haven't gotten there yet, but he's there.
And he, you know what? He's solid. Why? Maybe they should feature him a little bit. Maybe they should push him a little less Claypool or Flea-like and be like, listen, we're going to roll off you just to see what happens, just to see where it goes. I don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. I think he's the youngest member of the band, if I'm not mistaken.
He is, yeah.
Not by much, but I mean, it's funny because one of the first concerts I was at, he was the bass player for Ozzy. When it was my high school graduation. Instead of going to graduation parties, I went to go see Ozzy. And he was the bass player. So I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot, for him. I think he's a decent bass player. I think he's solid. I don't know how he writes because I've only ever seen him play other people's music. Right. But I don't get the impression that he's that involved in the writing process.
I don't think anybody will let him. And maybe he doesn't want to be, but one way or the other, one way or the other, he's just not. It just seems like he is not. And I got to throw this out there. I think, I don't think it's fantastic, and I don't think it's among their greatest things they've done. But I almost can't help but wonder, Megadeth clearly sounds better at this stage in each of these bands' careers, and it's not close. And it makes me wonder, is it because of the changes over the years? Megadeth is basically Mustaine and whatever people he picks up after other people leaves. And the freshness that comes in with these guys. Like their drummer is killer, and Kiko is killer, and they're younger than Dave, and they're like, you know, he's writing all the stuff, but they're kind of carrying him with them, and it just all works so much better. It's like, what would Metallica be if Kirk was gone and Dave slotted back in? You know what I mean? Like, what if Dave and James did something together? How good would that sound? Amazing.
Well, did you see that they did get together on stage not too long ago?
Yeah.
And hell yeah, I mean, there's definitely a different energy.
Yeah.
When that happens, and the thing is with them, like with Megadeth, Dave has always kind of had a thing of the people that I bring into the band, I'm going to let them bring a flavor. Like, it's still my music, it's still Megadeth, it's still, you know, this is my shop. But Marty Friedman brought a whole new flavor, you know, to the situation, and you could tell, you know, what was Marty, what was Dave. Like, there was, you know, Marty has a sound of his own. All of Dave's guitarists since Marty have had a certain flavor, and he's allowed that to kind of shine through. So I think you're spot on that, you know, having that turnover allows the different flavors to kind of mix in there and keep things less stagnant. I think everybody in Metallica right now is still like in vanilla.
And,
you know,
and Megadeth has the ability to surprise us, and Metallica doesn't have the ability to surprise us anymore.
I think they do have the ability. I think they've lost the way of doing that, and I think it's because they either don't remember how, or they're just trying to play
into the machine of being the biggest metal band that's still out there.
Right. But as I said before, man, I think if they just said, you know what, screw it, let's push all the producers aside, you know, let's just go in ourselves, let's do something ourselves, by ourselves for once. I think we would wind up seeing something tremendously different, because I think the potential is still there. I just don't know if the direction is being forced upon them, or if they're just that complacent with it that they're just like, all right, we're putting it out, people are going to buy it, we'll make a mill, let's move on.
Yeah, I think that sadly might be the case. Like, you know, we're Metallica, you know, like some, you know, the people that not to nitpick, but you've got people who really hone in on music, and then you've got people that are almost like country fans with Metallica, which it's like, you know, as long as I'm having a good time listening to it, I'm not going to dissect it much. I'm just gonna bang my head to the riffs, no matter how samey or generic they are. It's Metallica, you know. It's that whole thing.
I think that's probably pretty close to it, man.
Well, and the complimentary side of it is the state of today's rock. It's not bad still. That's the sad part. In comparison, it's not bad.
There's a lot of exciting stuff out there.
In comparison, that there is underground, in my opinion. I don't know what else is out there right now as far as metal and stuff goes, but you got to dig. You definitely got to dig. For me, it's not going to be on the surface. Like, you know, it's covered up with the Post Malones, Taylor Swifts, and Imagine Dragons of the world.
Yeah, I mean, but that's mainstream music. I mean, metal has never really been at that forefront of the music scene in general. I mean, like,
maybe not the forefront, but
there was a time it got
Metallica,
close.
Megadeth. You know, when we, you know, there was a ton of people in my high school wearing those shirts.
Absolutely. I mean, the shark fin surfaced. Like, it was definitely, you know, it broke water a couple times. But for the most part, it's never really been a thing that was forced on you like pop music is. Like, there's not a lot of, you know, they do exist, but like radio stations, like how many metal radio stations are there that exist anymore? Probably far and few in between. I mean, we used to have two here in New York that were were pretty decent, but they were only nighttime stations. So like the college stations at night would go like full metal.
Headbangers Ball.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty late.
But, it was great. From like 9 o'clock till 2 a.m., it was just all metal on these two stations. And, that's where you got to hear anything new that came out because they were college stations. So they got like all the pre-releases and everything else. So, but yeah, man, like I've always thought also that part of the intrigue behind it was being able to go diving for that stuff and trying to find it because it wasn't pushed in your face.
Yeah.
And
I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I've always been that person.
Yeah, it makes it more personal. You're getting to choose to listen to this. It's not being forced into your face.
Right. And Metallica still is a little bit. It's Stranger Things, Metallica. Like we got some new fans. It's one of those. But we digress.
Yeah.
Where
number
are we
3?
at? I think number 3.
We're only on number 3.
Suicide. Yeah, but I feel like the rest of this album is going to go a little quicker with our our notes.
It is.
This is Screaming Suicide. This is a single, but at this point, half the album's singles already. This is the worst riffage so far to me. The most generic. The chorus is almost annoying. My least favorite so far. I called this the Trying Too Hard song, and it was also too long. It should have been 3.5 minutes max. It was way longer than that. This song, I if I have my way, which I probably will, I won't listen to it again. I absolutely cannot stay in this song. The lyrics are about as cheese as it gets.
Did you just copy my notes? Like, what the hell, man?
Trash lyrics. Not to be just completely derogatory, but trash ass lyrics.
You know what annoyed me? And I don't know if you might not have even picked up on this, but there's something, and I started noticing it after this tune, and I didn't notice it in the first 2 tunes, but it could have been there. What the hell is Lars doing on that goddamn hi-hat?
Oh, it's always something. It's always something.
But like, there's a part where like they're doing a guitar riff, right? And it would have been a cool part. Like it would have given some like depth and dimension to the song. But Lars is sitting over there drilling away on this. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, dude? I have like these giant letters in my notes. Like, what the, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, oh man, and same thing with the solo moments, again. It was just
stop.
Just stop. Yeah. Yep.
It's bad.
Next.
It's bad. Next. Yeah, and this is the beginning of the end right there. Is Screaming Suicide.
Yeah.
The first 2 tracks, I was
also,
with it a little bit. Yeah.
I think the title, they're trying to be a little edgy and know that they're going to wind up getting flagged on like YouTube and Spotify and any platform because of the S word in there, because apparently you can't say that on YouTube anymore. You can't say it on certain other platforms. I mean, it's the title of a song. We're not speaking about a mental health issue here, obviously, but and unfortunately, like, you have a title like that. Maybe make the lyrics something about that where somebody can relate to that and find some kind of meaning, but there is just no meaning behind these lyrics.
No, instead it was like, I'm still edgy. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was just edgy. A bunch of rhyming words that made you sound hard.
Yeah. Ish. Yeah. Dr. Seuss with a lot of hi-hat. Dr. Seuss with a lot of hi-hat.
Nice.
It was bad. I hate being this mean to him, but sleepwalking my life away. I'll just throw it out. This is a reload B-side. That's all I got on it. I thought Screaming Suicide was trash. This song was worse. Maybe not worse. This song was as bad. I was just like, give me something, please give me something, and they didn't do it.
Nope. I mean, the intro again, like over a minute for the intro to get through there, and it was nothing exciting in the intro. It's just the same chugga chugga chugga. It's like
chug a palm mute, chug a palm mute, chug a palm mute. So many palm mutes, so many stoppages in the riffage. It's just it's like
it's
vomit stop,
continuous.
vomit stop, vomit stop, and I'm like, this
my
is
note
rough.
on this. My note on this song was almost fell asleep. But yeah,
I feel like such a dick, but it's true.
It's just,
At least true for me.
man, this was next.
Next, You Must Burn.
You Must Burn.
Another catchy, hey, I'm edgy title.
Yeah, this was the first song that they had vocals under a minute.
Hey, good catch on that.
First time that you heard a voice before the 1 minute mark hit. But
I did not catch that. That's good information.
Yeah.
I did put, maybe I caught it subconsciously because I put, this started really well, but it's going downhill fast. Like, the riff was just as generic as the last song.
My only other note on this song was, I'm waiting for this thing to get better. It just says, waiting for the break, waiting for the fast part, waiting for it to get better. It just never came.
My last note on it was, not sure this would have been good on the Load albums.
Ooh. Yeesh.
Yeah, just that bad. Lux Eterna up next, first single off the album. Have at it. What'd you think of that one?
Well, I thought that originally they had an old typewriter in the studio and somebody stuck one of the keys and it just kept going tap, 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 because that's what it sounded like. It was just a stuck key on an automatic typewriter. It's the same story. I think releasing this as a single was probably not a great idea. I think the first song probably had more potential to kind of catch because there were some different parts that happened. There was some, variation in what was going on. To me, there's mistakes all over it also that I caught.
Well, there's a lot of studio fixes in it. There's a lot of studio magic in there.
And that's actually what I'm hearing. Like there were some bad edits actually in the mix that I was hearing. And, I was listening pretty closely on it, and I tend to pick up on stupid things like that a little more than the average listener because of what I do in the studio. But man, like my note on here was, I hope they didn't pay somebody to mix this.
Not wrong.
That and Kurt has completely run out of ideas. So Kirk is completely out of ideas. He's just done. And my other note is I can't listen to this anymore.
These are the kind of notes that I take as well. Mine's a little bit. I eased up a little after the last three tracks. I got that they attempted being the key word, to go back to their thrash roots, because you had that 80s thrash guitar tone in, but it was a
little too slow.
It was a little too slow, and it was a little too polished, and it was bordering on poppy. Mm-hmm. Like the whole song borders on Machine Gun Kelly, pop punk. Yeah. Yes. That kind of sound. It's just honed a little too happy forward, like anticipate. Like if you swung a different genre on it, like anticipation, do something for nothing.
Wow,
Lux Eterna. It could almost be a pop smash hit. But my final notes on it is, it's fine. But it gets weaker with every listen for me. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, they're trying to get back to that 80s sound. I hear some 80s in there. And then the more you listen to it, it's like, no, it's more like the 80s revival that kind of happened over the past couple years. Like it just didn't work. It was just misinformed.
What would you have thought if that was the first track on the album?
Oh, I wouldn't have been as excited initially,
really,
as 72 Seasons actually being, because I still after I get off here, I would probably listen to that opening track. Mm-hmm. I think I really, for some reason, for me they caught a small flash of lightning in a bottle with the first track, and then it just burned out immediately. If it would have opened with Lux Eterna, I don't know. There's just not, again, giving too much away, there's not a song on this album besides the opening track that I really have an interest in going back to. Maybe Shadows, that track. Maybe I'll have to listen to it again. And I will admit, I'm definitely one of those people that the slow burn happens. Like, I will listen to an album. I don't know if you've ever heard of Turnstile. Buddy of mine told me to listen to Turnstile. They were a hardcore band. They're bordering more on a different kind of sound now, but their roots are hardcore. And I listened to them and I was like, I don't know. But by the fourth or fifth listen, I was like, this is Nirvana level.
Okay.
And to me, it is. It's Nirvana level. Like, I remember where I was. I went and watched them live after listening to the album for 4 or 5 spins. And I finally told my buddy Lawrence, I was like, okay, this band is absolutely fantastic. I haven't heard anything like this since Nirvana.
You got to shoot me a link.
But it took a minute. This album won't do that. It will not slow burn. There is no it's growing on me, because there's a ton of albums like Silverchair, Straight Lines comes to mind. That's one of my favorite albums. No one likes that album. Like, when Silverchair went soft and U2 called Diorama one of the best albums of the year, everybody's like, fuck Silverchair. Mm-hmm. But Diorama and Straight Lines, I think, are fantastic albums, and they both grew on me. And the first time I heard them, I was like, this is trash. And I do that a lot. I'll hear something, I'll be like, what is this? And then after a while, it will grow on me. This album, this does not even have the potential to grow on me. Like, it's that samey. Yeah,
that's the perfect word for it, samey, because from one track to the next, like, you kind of get lost and you're not quite sure. Did I go to the next track yet? Wait.
And it's getting bad. Crown of Barbed Wire, another banger of a title.
The potential is there.
Crown of Barbed Wire. You know what I think of? I think of Pam Anderson and her barbed wire tattoo when I see that title. That's what I think of. And the movie that followed.
Oh, man. Yeah, so tight, the crown of barbed wire.
Oh, God.
It's destiny.
Where's your crown, King Nothing?
Right?
Where's your crown?
Let's start pulling things from, previous songs and rehashing them. And actually, one thing that I was going to bring up, a couple songs, I started hearing, I don't know if it's just the leads, but like there were either parts of the leads or parts of some of the riffs that I was like, oh, that's from Master of Puppets. That's from this song. That's from that song. Oh, there's Blackened. Like, I heard just like little snips, a bar or whatever, like here and there, where it was just like, oh, okay, like maybe that's where they were like, let's take this riff from Master Puppets and flip it and turn it into its own song. Mm-hmm. It's like, the reason why Master Puppets works is because there's 623 different riffs in the song, and you're telling a damn good story to go with it. The hell is Crown of Barbed Wire, guys? Like,
I don't know.
Okay.
They literally looked at us. They're like, Pags, bark, Master, give me fuel, give me fire, Master. I almost feel like it was a tug of war happening in the studio, and they're like, kill them all, and they're like, reload, kill them all, reload. It's like, you got to figure it out, man. You can't. You coming out with an album for the first time in 7 years. And having a tug of war between your old sound, but that side losing handily to the load reload era. I don't know if you thought that would be something fresh to combine all your sounds into one or not, but it's not. It just isn't working. I just put on Crown of Barbed Wire, I'm getting bored. Simple as that. I'm literally really, really bored.
I played a game with this one.
Did you drink every time they said something you'd heard before?
No. I would be dead by now. No, when the solo came up, as soon as I heard him do it, I was like, I started like needling away with him, and I was like, all right, he's going to go up. Sure enough, he went up. Went back to it. He's going to go down. Up, he went down. Now he's going to do the bend thing. He went and did I called the solo note for note, like as he was doing it. It was too easy to predict it. It just was so, all right, guy. Yeah.
Yeah. It is the Metallica Blueprint album. This should have been called The Blueprint. This should have been the title of the album.
Just cookie cutter. Just
yeah.
Have that M as the cookie cutter on the dough.
that would have been a good. Yeah, that would have
been
a good way to put it. Anti-risk. They could have called it anti-risk. Chasing light. Same kind of notes. I've just put it's all getting samey, and the stop-start guitars are killing me at this point.
I couldn't tell what he was saying in the middle there. Did he need a maid? Did he
Doesn't
need
fucking
lemonade?
matter.
I was trying to figure out what he was trying to say there. This is another one I wrote. I really hope they didn't pay somebody to record this. And the intro again, just get to the friggin' song. Like, what is the point of these long, drawn-out intros of nothing? Like, cool, do that, but blast like a blazing solo over it or something. Put something interesting over it. Put yesterday's newscast over it. Anything, like, make it interesting so that the monotony of what's going on doesn't become apparent in and of itself.
And you just nailed something too. There were no layers on this album.
None. Except for
layers.
The very last song towards the end is the only time where I heard things, and we're getting to that, but
we're getting there, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
But yes, you're right. There's nothing. It's a rhythm guitar track, drums, voice. Bass is kind of in there, but
slot in the solo, go back to James.
Yep.
Let Lars have some booms. And it was, I mean, it's as cookie cutter as it gets. You've said it multiple times, and it's just the best explanation. With that being said, if darkness had a sun, my notes, this is better than the last 6 songs, but not in a strong way. I put this is okay in capital letters. It is okay. I am okay with this track. This is one of the strongest songs on the album, and it is simply just okay.
Yeah, my notes on this one are we're a minute and 4 seconds into this song and nothing has happened yet.
But that's every song.
But a minute and 4 seconds. So I do have one actual note here, and I maybe you want to go back and listen to this one again. I kind of get a feeling he tried to conjure up his inner Dave Mustaine on this one with some of the vocals.
Ooh. Okay.
He started getting into like a little bit of that weird kind of, like that sneery kind of Dave-ness on it. And
what is that song from? What is that? Oh God, what is that song? The one that James has made fun of on camera before. Hello, me. It's me again.
It's me again. Yeah.
Hello, Kirk. It's James again.
But you know what? That song was interesting as hell because of how different it was.
I like that song.
That song was brilliant.
Yeah.
That song was brilliant.
Yep. That's the kind of stuff like, Mike Patton's not the only person that can do whatever he wants. Yep. Like Dave can do that too and get away with it. So, yep.
Man, that would be an interesting combo. Dave and Patton.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Patton's one of my favorites, so yeah, that would be an interesting
He's a
combo.
nutty dude, man.
That. I know.
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
All right. Number 10, Too Far Gone. I said this track was aptly named.
I put that it fits in with the prior 6 songs, and then my last 2 words are I am dissatisfied.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the same song over and over over again. And
it's bad.
Track 11, Room of Mirrors.
Room of Mirrors. I've just got the vocal pacing was a switch up I did not expect, but the music doesn't match the switch up of the vocal pacing.
Wow, I have the same exact note. The music does not make sense to what's going on with the vocals.
No,
I have the same
vocal
exact
pacing
note.
was abstract and creative, and the music was like, we'll just sit back here and stay in our lane while James does this.
Right.
And
Yep.
I did put that it gets a little better as time goes on, but not much. But I mean, it was interesting. It was interesting, and the music really let down James's interesting take on it.
Right. This is one of the ones that I had that the tempo was a little too slow for the riff that they were playing. Again,
Yep.
I think this really, if they had bumped this up, I actually want to maybe take one or two of these songs and deconstruct them in the studio and see if I can remix them, so to speak, and turn them into something. But I don't know if I want to dedicate that much time to this, but it'd be interesting to see if things had been a little bit differently, or if things were picked up a little or edited to where you didn't have 3 minutes of intro per song, how that would sit differently, if at all.
And this is why I don't dislike in any way Load and Reload, because at least that shit's to the point.
Right. No,
like that they at least got to the point on those tracks on that album. I mean, Give Me Fuel, Give Me Fire, Give Me That Which I Desire happens before a riff even happens. And that is rare. That is rare for this band.
But that laid the point down and set the pace from there.
Yeah.
Are we on the last one?
We are on Inamorata, or however it's this is straight from a Ghost album, at least in name. I was like, is this a Ghost track or is this a Metallica track? My notes on this one, just I liked it at times. Halfway through I thought it got super interesting. But again, overall it's just too long. I mean, it had potential. If they would have condensed it, it could have been one of the more interesting tracks on there, but it takes too long. It takes too long to get there. I can do that with bands like Tool and God, there's a few other bands that are really good at play. Mastodon. I can do this with Tool and Mastodon. I can't do this with Metallica.
But it gets interesting with those other bands. It's not the same thing, just chug. I mean, there's points where you can actually hear where the cut and paste is. Like you can hear, like there's little nuances, with the picking, where like you can hear this little kind of thing on the pick, but you hear that every 8 hits. So it's it's like, all right, so he didn't play it like that. That was just okay. They got one that sounded good. Let's just paste. I mean, 11 minutes on a song like this is, if you're going to keep things fresh every 30 seconds, and you're going to have highs and lows where you're going to bring somebody in and then you're going to drop them off a cliff. That's cool, man. Tool does it all day long. Exactly what you said.
Right.
Plenty of other bands can pull off that, 11-minute thing and make it work. This, nah. One thing that really weirded me out on this tune was the drums, more than the other tracks for some reason. The drum part here didn't work. It just, for some reason, it didn't sit right with me. It didn't feel like he was paying attention to what the guitar and the bass was playing. Like he was just like, screw you guys, I'm playing whatever I'm going to play, and you're just going to play that riff over it, and, we're going to make this work whether it wants to or not. I mean,
And there lies a massive problem. If any other band was without a drummer, none of those bands are hiring Lars. It's not happening. No. There's only one band he fits into, and it's this one.
If that.
There's no other band. If that. Yeah, because at times he doesn't. And that's not to say that I don't appreciate what he's done in his career, because I actually do. Like, I actually think he fit early Metallica very well. I think he fit Load and Reload very well. I just think he's, he has hit the peak. He hit the peak of his career before the 2000s, and now it's just kind of. I mean, I don't even think he'd be a good session drummer at this point. And that's not to say that he's not.
Oh no!
Good at what he does.
I would not. In my little studio, I would not allow him through the door.
No, and that's not a detriment. This comes back to the whole Meg White thing. I love Meg White. Would I let Meg White play on just anything? No, but there's a certain thing that she fits in beautifully, and Lars still fits. But it's like it's another tug of war. It's Lars versus the band, and it's just a mess.
Kind of reminds me of what they said about Ringo. It's like, oh, Ringo's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like this tune just rubbed me the wrong way until it got to almost the end.
Halfway point.
Where they started doing some of that harmony kind of stuff. And there was some like different, exactly what you brought up before, the different layers. They started like putting a melody on top of a rhythm. We hadn't heard that in this album up until then.
We haven't heard that for a long time, period. So why?
Yeah.
It's like, man, you guys might have been onto something at a couple of moments in this over an hour long journey that felt like a bus ride. Like you might have been onto something a couple times, but you completely ignored it, and you got out the Big M cookie cutters, like you said, and you made your cookies. And then on the last one, you decided to do a lowercase m with some curvature to it instead of just points. And it's like, give me more of the curvature. I'll take it. You know, I will take you guys. I will take an experimental album from you guys at this point over. Let's show them we still rock, because.
Yeah,
sure you do.
That's my point.
But you rock for guys that have been doing it since 1980. You know what I mean? Like, but it doesn't mean you rock in general. I'll tell you something that happened after this album went off. I was laying in my 6-year-old's bed because he needs me to lay with him to go to sleep, or my wife, he just wants someone in there.
My little guy does the same thing.
Yeah, it's rough. It's been I'm so tired. It's not tired like right now, just tired of laying in bed every night at 8:00. But after this went off, say what you will about this band, but after this album went off, it just auto played to something next, and I think it went straight to Ghost, Call Me Little Sunshine or whatever, and I was just like, say what you will, this band is so much fresher and better than anything Metallica's done in a long time. And I'm not a huge fan. I'm a fan. I saw them in concert, and I was actually blown away. Top 5 concert of all time was the Ghost show I saw in 2019. Really? Fantastic. Like magic. Wow. Magic show. And I don't love their music. I like it. I don't love it. And I heard that track came on afterwards, and I was just like, the production quality, the mix,
that's what a song sounds
layers,
like.
That's what, I was like, this is a well-crafted arena rock, because people call it metal. That's the problem. Ghost is the best metal band out. Is it metal? It's not. It's like, is Sleep Token metal? God, no, it's not metal. That is not metal. That's Imagine Dragons with some drop D. That's all that is. And it's come on, man. But this album just, I wasn't excited, because there's no reason to be excited. There hasn't been a reason to be excited for a very long time. Death Magnetic, when it was announced, I was excited because they claimed it was the return to their thrash roots. That didn't exactly happen. So I liked that album, but I didn't come away from it like they're back.
Right.
They have not came back. It has not happened.
No.
And kudos to them for a long career. And their concerts, like, apparently some people said that their performances on Fallon this week leading up to the album, when they did a lot of their old songs, they nailed them. I'm sure they did. But none of this stuff is going to be nailed in concert in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like, at what point do you say, and I'm going to speak from some experience here, like, at what point do you say, okay, we're going to start just riding the nostalgia train and stop putting
and just perform live and quit making, do the Godsmack
right.
thing. We're done after this one. Because we know we're not going to top anything we've done. Which
Right.
Godsmack's a terrible example, but because I just don't think they're that good. They're talented, good drummers, two good drummers in that band.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when are they going to go the route of the Stones and
Yeah, it's just okay.
ready to do, and just let's perform live. There's money in it. We're good at it. We're good at playing our old stuff. Let's just do that.
I mean, they could just do, in Europe, there's like huge festival circuits that happen every year, which is what I had been involved in. And, it's just tons of different bands on a bill with like usually one giant headliner, who bigger than Metallica? You don't have to put out this stuff. Like, go out there, play your first 5, 6 albums, 7 albums, whatever it is. That's it, man. Just you could they could make a killing just by doing that.
I know.
4 or 5 months out of the year, go sit in California on the beach for the rest of the year, and collect that revenue stream coming in from Spotify and wherever else your music is getting spin from. Because you really don't have to do this anymore. And
well, no, because at this point it's a detriment to their career.
It is if they lose money doing it. If they're still making money doing it, then
I'm sure they're still making money, but I mean it's a detriment to the legacy, I guess you could say.
Yes, I will agree with you 100% on that. That to me is where you have to figure out, is this going to hurt me? Is this not going to hurt me? And who makes that decision? I mean,
yeah,
who's that up to? I mean, you could say the same thing for Megadeth as well. Like, could they have hung it up 5-10 years ago? Yeah, they could have. Have they put out some decent stuff since then? Yeah, they have. But it's maybe they think they're going to wind up, tapping it one more time or something, and they just don't realize that it's just not happening. Oh, that
I agree with you that it could, though.
I
agree with you that it could.
It could.
Like, because I've heard glimmers.
Yes.
I've heard sparks. I've heard moments that if they would have honed in on these moments, they could have capitalized. But instead, it was like they ignore those moments.
I don't know if they ignore them or there's not the person there that can
to hear
recognize that and say, "Hey, by the way, guys, that right there, let's go there." And I think in the past that may have been Dave, that may have been Cliff, that may have been Jason. Who's pulling that trigger now? Like, who's the one that's saying, "Hey, because Dave was the riff master, and they kind of built their sound off of his style of playing." So take your old tunes and kind of revisit that and say, "Hey, what made these unique? What made these, so enjoyable?" I mean, I don't know. They were just angry. They were great. They had raw emotion to them. And now listen to your song now. Like, pop on Master of Puppets and then pop on one of these songs right after it. What are the similarities? Are there any similarities? Is there something that the second one could have done better to maybe pull up that energy that you had on the first one,
Right.
Like, there's got to be something that they could use as a reference point or a guide, whether they need a new producer or they need somebody else in the band that can just add that little spark of life that I think unfortunately died with, with some of the people that are no longer in the band.
Right. It goes right back to, why a band like Megadeth can still, because I mean, that album they dropped earlier this year, the end of last year, kind of a banger. I mean, for old Dave Mustaine, I mean, it was kind of a banger. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but it wasn't fantastic.
I heard a couple of the tracks off.
It was good.
It. Yeah, exactly.
We'll Be Back is a freaking jam. Mm-hmm. Absolute.
But
jam.
Again, like, dude's like 70. Like,
yeah.
I hope I'm doing that at 70.
Yeah, and that's where I want to give credit. Like, I don't want to just sit here and bash Metallica. The guys are, they're up there now. I mean, that's the story of life, and a lot of bands just can't a lot of bands that their best years are behind them. And to me, a couple thoughts that came to mind with this album is, one, they are the Pearl Jam of their genre, because Pearl Jam hasn't made a great album since 10. Sorry, hasn't happened. I love No Code, but I wouldn't dare call it a great album because no one else thinks it is. Yeah, but I mean, Pearl Jam is stale and not good anymore. I mean, they're still good musicians in their own right, but it's like they lost that spark or desire or fire or whatever it is. And secondly, Metallica have just turned into the Fish of metal. They are just a jam band at this point, and the jams are very rehashed and very manufactured. And you know, I
think that they actually jammed it. It might be better if they jammed. Like, to me, it's just like you're just chugging.
Yeah,
there's no jamming. It's just chugging.
I think they think they're jamming, but it's the whole topic and idea of this podcast / channel is getting stuck in your generation musically and not finding anything new and not getting anything inspiring and nothing around the corner that interests you. And I think Metallica might just be stuck in their generation, and I've never said that about a band until this episode. And me and my former co-hosts have covered a lot of groups, and this is the first one that I think they are literally just stuck in the pre-2000s.
Yeah. If only they could still play like that and write like that, you know?
Yeah.
That's.
But instead, they're
brilliant.
they're just pulling from King Nothing and doing Crown of Barbed Wire. You know, it's just kind of like, how can we take this song, flip it over like a grilled cheese, and get that same taste? And okay, man. I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys want to do, it's your band.
Yeah, man. I wish it could be better. And honestly, I mean, that's my feelings exactly. There's potential there. It could have happened. It just didn't this time around.
No.
Maybe next time, guys. Maybe think outside the box a little bit more.
Try again next time. Give it a shot next time. You're halfway there, kid. Shit.
Imagine the record label guy saying that to him. You almost got it there, kids. You almost got it.
You almost got it there, kid. Keep trying. Don't give up. Put your glove up and close your eyes. Shit. Man. Yeah, it was not a great journey. But at the same time, it was, because some of my notes cracked me up, so I did give myself a laugh. But again, no disrespect. I couldn't write an album as good as that. Me personally, just I couldn't. Do I think that means it's good? No, it's more of a detriment as to how bad of a musician I am. But
come on.
You know, it's nice effort, guys. I guess it's just not hitting. It's just not landing. It will
just
for
another
some.
Metallica album.
Just another Metallica album, which your casual Metallica fan is going to love it. They just are. But for me, after I've heard shit like Spirit World,
oh man, dude, that kicked my ass the other day.
It kicks my ass every time I listen to it. It is like it is just in your face. While Metallica's
from beginning to the end,
way back there.
There's not one moment on that album that you're just not getting destroyed.
It's full of vigor. It's full of vigor, and it's full of like ambition.
Oh yeah,
and they want something. They want it, and I feel like Metallica's like, we have it. We've always had it. It's never going away because our name is Metallica.
Right.
And we are,
it's in the name,
the trailblazers of most of this. Most of these bands that you like today that are heavy in any right is probably because of what we did. And they're right. They're absolutely right. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to push the envelope.
No, not at all. And I think I was telling you, my kid's godfather, he's the drummer for Agnostic Front, and he took them out on tour this past year. I think it was. Was it end of last year or earlier this year? I forget. But he was saying a bunch of great guys, and that was the first like actual tour they had been on. And I was just like, damn, like this band sounds like they've been doing this for a while. Like they're polished and ready to go, man. These guys are ready to come out of the gate swinging. But oh man,
and the crazy thing about that band is their last album was like, it was the same genre, and it was really good, not as good as this one, but it was really good. But the first thing they ever released is like Western punk. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, you know, it's almost Against Me like. I mean, it's not hard and it's not heavy, and it's still fucking good. Okay. Like it's there's twang in it. It's like the guitars are like it's Social D like. It's a little Social D-ish. And it was still good. And then I heard this album. I was like, what the fuck happened to this band? Like, they're pissed off, and they want to hold hands with Satan. You know,
they woke up and they said,
woke up,
fuck, we want the ring.
Said, fuck this shit. Give me
exactly.
The belt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give us your belt.
Yeah. It's fucking good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Well,
all right.
Well, that's it. Metallica 72 seasons review over. It's always exciting to review someone as big of a name as this, but at the end of the day,
do you have a Bibisar for albums?
Fuck. If I were to score this on the Bibisar, it's below a 5. I mean, it's just below a 5.
3. I was going to say 3.
As far as the albums go, it slots in right above Saint Anger. I'm that low on it currently.
Wow.
Yeah. There's just nothing really there. I did not like Hardwired to Self-Destruct that much. I felt like it was just kind of lazy. I don't know. There was just something about it that just
same thing as this
right.
album. I think it was the same thing. It was very just cookie cutter, just like, all right, we're going to chop and paste and just, yeah, it didn't sound like they actually wrote a song. It sounded like they came up with a bunch of riffs, glued them together, and let James sing over them.
Yeah, it was particle board of all their albums. They took all their albums, put it in the shredder, glued it all back together, and you got the particle board album. Mm-hmm. Sadly.
Yeah.
Saint Anger might be better. I don't know. It might be better. At least it's more original. At least they went. At least they tried something there. At least they gave something a shot. It just fell hard. Maybe try when you get time. Look up the Saint Anger 2015, and
I will
give that a spin on YouTube. And it's pretty impressive. I was quite impressed with it. I was like, "Fuck, Saint Anger's a banger." When someone else plays it. Oh shit! That's all we got, folks. Right. Next time, hopefully we get something we can be a little more excited about and not tear to shreds. But we'll see.
All right, man. This has been fun. Hope we can do it again soon.
Let's go to sleep. We're old.
Yeah,
we could probably write some good chugga riffs while we're sleeping.
While I'm climbing the stairs, man.
I'll see you, fags.
All right, later.